Guizhou, I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it, and Mo should probably help me when I went to a remote mountainous village called Dimen that is a Dong village. You might ask, how did I wind up in this village that was actually off of any paved road? And the answer is, in part, that a friend of ours has been studying music in this Dong village. They have some very interesting music, and that is going to be used as the basis of an opera that represents a fusion of Chinese and American music that a friend of mine is producing, going to be produced in the book called The Bonesetter's Daughter, and she was actually there in this little village when we were visiting there. Well, the remarkable thing about this part of I had visited this remote part of China 9 years ago, and the changes that have occurred in 9 years in this part, as in every other part, you know, everybody knows what's happened in Shanghai, everybody knows what's happened in Beijing, but what has happened in these parts of China are even more dramatic. Electricity is everywhere. But not only was electricity everywhere, but the kids are part of the globalized world. They were all playing the internet. There's an internet cafe that some enterprising individual opened up. And we went there in the evening and they were playing. And what was so actually very touching is it's so much like kids in America. The boys were playing board games. And you know, shooting and all that, and the girls were on chat rooms talking with friends in the chat rooms again all over the world. So here in this very remote village, globalization has really affected them. It's affected them in other ways. You can see the prosperity in so many other ways, in ways that. In some ways, the government had played an important role. People were buying seeds, and they had a list of seeds with the prices, quality, and the fraction of the seeds that would germinate. And the government, and this is very different because I had been in India a couple months earlier. One of the big problems in India is that the rural sector is not doing very well, so badly in fact that thousands of people in the rural sector are committing suicide. And one of the problems that is cited is the problem of germination. The seeds, they don't germinate. Monsanto was doing it, so you have to buy a new seed so that even if they do germinate, you have to go have cash to buy for the next year. People get in debt, and then the problems of indebtedness, a whole series of problems are leading us to say literally the thousands and thousands of suicides. In this village, the government not only described the germination rates, but provided a guarantee. So if it didn't germinate at the rate, you got a little slip of paper and come back at the end of the season and it's a guarantee for germination. One of the other interesting things was that there was a health clinic, a private health clinic, and that highlights one of the problems in China in recent years. Health standards have not done very well. Parts of India, like Kerala, had health standards that were comparable to that of China in 1979. Today, life expectancy in Kerala is 4 years longer than in comparable places in China. So that whereas they put big efforts in expanding and providing greater health care in India, in this particular part of India, it's not true in general, but one of the things about the rapid growth and the marketization is health and education in the rural sector has been left behind. Now, the government has recognized some of these problems, and one of the consequences is last year they announced what is called the 11th five-year plan. And high on that 11th five-year plan is dealing with the problems of inequality, particularly in the rural sector, providing, for instance, free education to those in the rural sector, not really in the urban sector, eliminating most of the agricultural taxes, and so trying to reduce the gap between the urban and the rural sector, a gap which has grown a great deal over the last 30 years. In fact, a lot of people say China should appreciate its currency. And I've argued that if China appreciated its currency, it would make things worse in China. But will South Carolina start producing textiles? No. The United States will be buying textiles and apparel from Cambodia and Bangladesh and other countries. But while China is willing to lend money to the United States, it's not clear that it's the best use of the money for Bangladesh or Cambodia. They might want to invest it back at home. And so the ability to get finance for the U.S. deficits will be more difficult. And the deficits themselves, the $850 billion deficit, almost surely will continue. So that is a sense in which the problems are likely to get worse. So we should actually hope that what we've been asking for doesn't happen.
Yeah. I have a question regarding Chinese stock market.